Zach Taylor talks to the Bengals media, and we'll be previewing our matchup with the Steelers coming up next on the Cincinnati podcast.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmandzada, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
Time to be a Bengals
How do you
fan.
balance being a professional athlete and family obligation?
These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time?
Yeah.
Shock the world.
Welcome to the Cincinnati podcast. I'm your host, Ace Boogie. He is Zim Hude. Zim, what's going on, bro?
What's going on, bro? How are you?
I'm good, bro. Just chilling in the spaces as usual. If you guys haven't been paying attention to that, follow me and Zim on Twitter at New Stripe City and at Zim Hude. And also follow the Cincinnati Pod at Cincinnati Pod on Twitter. Please be sure to do that. But yeah, man, I'm good.
Using the spaces on some music stuff. We were just discussing that backstage a little bit. If y'all don't know, I keep on telling y'all that the revolution won't be televised, but it will be on Twitter because recently there's a lot of stuff going on Twitter where you're able to have a DJ battle. You're able to talk about your team. You could talk about the basketball like championship with Golden State and the Celtics. You could do anything you want. I feel like I'm promoting for Twitter when I shouldn't be. But it's really lit because you get really in-depth stuff from people that are really, really close to the team. So I like to go in there and strategize. I even got a notepad where I took a couple notes on a couple different teams and stuff. It's that serious, bro.
Yeah, like you said, they have them going on right now because we have training camps going on. So if you want to get insight from other fan bases, you can do that. But on tonight's show, the Bengals are on the field working out. There's not a mandatory minute camp in their future, so the team is maximizing the time while they can. We'll tell you about who's standing out. Plus, we're going to talk about Zach Taylor, and he spoke to the media today and made a couple of announcements. And then we'll find out what the Bengals head coach had to say, and we'll also be breaking down the 2022 schedule every show from here to camp. So today will be the Steelers, but we'll be doing that throughout this series. And so our tour starts with the Steelers, and we'll find out what they think of, or what we think of our opening opponent. And that's all coming up next on the Cincinnati podcast.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
All right, Zim. So the Bengals continue their on-the-field work. Was there anything that stuck out to you from OTAs today or any highlights that you saw that caught your eye?
Bruh, I feel like I've taken on this moniker of the dude that's always like stepping it up for the Bengals and, talking about how great we are and stuff. I think people confuse that with confidence, but I will tell you, La'el Collins, just every single time we come on here, it's just a difference maker. He's communicating with the coaches. He expects perfection. It's just a different thing, a different tone that we haven't seen, and that showed up on a lot of the reps. I know Joey B was a little disappointed on a drop from Mike Thomas. That stood out to me. And it just goes hand in hand. Like, these dudes are really, really locked in on a championship or nothing. And Hayden Hurst, I thought he had a really good rep against Mike Hilton going off into the flat. That was a really dope route because the concept I thought was really good because it forced the safety to make a decision. Joe saw the decision, went straight to Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst is going to 9 times out of 10 be a matchup nightmare for an outside linebacker or a smaller slot with his speed. So I love that. Puka Williams. I always talked about Calvin Austin and Shakir, who we potentially wanted in the draft. If Puka Williams gives us what he does, what he's been doing at OTA so far, or in the kid Kwame Lassiter, if they're able to perform at that level, high point of football, be super shifty, we good. We're 100% good. I see why the Bengals just skipped out on that. Aside from that, those are the main things. I thought Jamar Chaser was pretty dope. He had a drill where Tyler Boyd is coming off, and he's coming off the line of scrimmage. And part of the drill is don't let the wide receiver come clean off their release. And Jamar Chase was a little strong with it, so he made guys fight for it a little bit. So I thought that was really dope to see. He had his hair out. I don't know if that's a topic, but people were like, he took his hair out. So I was like, okay, I guess we're talking about hair now. Aside from that, I don't know. You know, Joey B. It almost feels like it's too perfect. Am I missing something? Like Trey Hendrickson
No, I
is still
mean,
not there. I mean, you
yeah,
want to talk
I
about
know
the
Trey
bag?
Hendrickson talked about that he was going to work out from Florida up until I guess later in this summer area. But yeah, I think you're right. I think what sums it up for me for the most part is just that we're picking up where we kind of left off. When you look up and you see the highlight of Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow, that connection starting over again, it's just as if we just finished up another practice of last season. So I think we're going to see that. Like you said, there's new wrinkles like Hayden Hurst and those guys. I'm actually interested to see how some of the rookies are doing, which we'll get into some of that a little later. But it's hard to tell in shorts. Like for me, you got to have full pads on.
And put a helmet on.
And put a helmet on. So, like, it's good that Jamar Chase is simulating that with some kind of contact because we already know they're not just going to let you off the line with no kind of pushback or anything like that. So it's good that they're simulating that. But one person that you hit on was Puka Williams. And there was a Ben Baby report that Puka made a nice catch today, high pointing the ball. My question to you is, will he make the roster as a receiver / returner?
It's gonna be super tight, bro. Because at the end of the day, Trent Taylor is the leader with that being shorthanded on punt returns. It would have to be Puka Williams is mistake free from a return aspect. Excuse me. Brandon Wilson is just phased out, in some capacity, something like that. Because it's hard for the Bengals to carry more than 6, 7 wide receivers, especially on games when you need an extra D lineman. It's really tough week to week. And if Puka's balling like what I think, like if Puka comes to preseason and goes like that, they're just going to grab him off the practice squad. So the Bengals are going to have some decisions to be made. Like Bengals are going to have some decisions to be made on defensive line as well as linebacker as well too. So I know I got a little off topic, but Puka Williams, it's just, can he play mistake-free football on punt returns? Can he do that part? And that's what Trent Taylor offers you. And if he can do that, then I think it pushes Trent Taylor down. I just can't see them carrying more than 6 wide receivers on most weeks.
Yeah, I think the fact that they've lost a guy like Auden Tate and the fact that Puka Williams was on the roster technically last season, just was on the practice squad, I think that pushes him potentially into this spot. It'll be dependent upon his versatility on special teams and what he can do at the receiver position. But he is a guy that I think can carve out a role for himself, but it's all dependent on how he performs in the preseason, right? Like if he has a kick return where he's able to score or have a 60 to 70 yard kind of return or do some things in the passing game when some of those later squads come in, I think he does have a legit chance to make it. I think it's actually better for him this season, but I have to agree with you, like depending on how many receivers that they keep, that will determine it. But I think that he does have a shot to make the team. And hopefully we'll get to actually see him at receiver because I know you compare him to Baby Hawk and you do want to see him within that role. So we'll see about that. But the next item that I have queued up for us are your impressions of Cam Taylor-Britt, his mic'd up performance at practice. That was released by the Bengals Twitter account. Was there anything that you kind of garnered from just viewing that?
I think CTB is going to be a fan favorite. He's super funny. You've already seen the mic'd up with him and Joe Burrow. So he's going to be one of the guys that everybody likes. He's got the juice. He's going to be energetic, swagged out, all that crazy stuff that we love to see. I don't know. Did you have any other impressions other than, like Cam Taylor-Britt? If I think he potentially, like if Eli comes, people forget when they talk to us about our cornerbacks, it's about like they don't remember that Trey Waynes was hurt for the whole entire year, our starting cornerback, right? So then Eli Apple comes in his role. I think that role is up for grabs. Watching some of the reps today and letting CTB line up right across from Uno, all these different things, I think it's up for grabs. And now, will he beat him out before week 1? Maybe not. But I just think that throughout the year, it's a battle. And Eli, that's the homie. But CTB with his energy, his athleticism and everything like that is definitely on his heels.
I think it gives you insight into the energy. Like we said, like it's a mic'd up, right? So you're just hearing his personality, him interacting with Joe Burrow, guys like that. So I think it gives you more insight to what they've already kind of said about him being a confident, lively individual. So I think it just shows like personality wise, he's a good fit for the team. I'd like to see obviously how he does in camp, like play wise, like how he lines up at corner, because as Zim said, that's what we're going to be evaluated on, right? So for me, I think that it shows his personality. I think it shows his confidence and that he's a dope dude and is obviously getting along with the rest of his teammates and stuff like that, and kind of riling them up and kind of displaying some of those potential leadership abilities. But I think it just added layers to him essentially. But one thing that we want to talk about is the expectations for Zach Taylor as a play caller. Like now that we've upgraded the offensive line, is that going to put more pressure on Zach, or what do you think that that's going to happen, or what kind of impact that's going to have on the team itself?
I just think that the team is ready as long as Joe Burrow's there. I just think that it's like you feed off of that energy, that sureness and everything. I don't think that, I think it's not a problem for Zach to ask for more. I don't feel like Zach is in any type of hot seat or anything like that. Or somebody asked me that. It's like, if Zach doesn't win a Super Bowl, like, are they? I'm like, nah. I think that Mike Brown and company are just way too patient. I just think he just expects more because, at the end of the day, if you don't win a Super Bowl, it's like, what are we doing? Facts. And, you got to demand that of the other players, especially going to a Super Bowl and losing by 3 points. Right. What are we doing? So he has to demand more.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely, as a fan base, demand more from Zach Taylor for sure, because there were some critical plays and critical times in the games last season. When I think about the 49ers game, we think about the Super Bowl, some of the decision making there, we have to see if it's changed, right? Like before we could kind of say, hey, well, the offensive line isn't good, so his play calling is essentially restricted. He couldn't do QB sneaks or anything like that with a damaged offensive line. Now that you give him a better line, the one thing that also adds to the fire is now he can open up more plays. Is that going to help or hurt him? And hopefully we'll see him take that next step and add to that creativity and be able to do things that they couldn't do just because of the bad offensive line. I think that this is his 4th year, so I think that we'll see him take a leap from a play calling perspective and install some more creative things. Hopefully we get some more creative play calls for Chris Evans. I'd like to see Joe Mixon and Chris Evans on the field at the same time. I don't see why you couldn't do that, because technically you could line Chris Evans up in the slot at receiver and still have Joe Mixon in the backfield at the same time. So those are things that I look forward to see what they do. Obviously the Samaje Perine decision to keep him on that last play in the Super Bowl, a lot of people criticize, but I think Zach is a guy that learns from his mistakes, and that's one of the things that I really like about him, because former coaches that have been here, I won't say names, but they haven't been, open to self-criticism and changing and moving on. That's one of, I think, Zach's biggest strengths. But with that said, I think we need to talk about one of our new sponsors here, Zim. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, sir.
Sorry about that.
No problem.
Yeah. So our new sponsor is Pierce Dental Group. I want to let everybody know this is a guy that can do a virtual consultation with you, no charge. Let them know that Wincinnati sent you. If you need a dentist, head on over to their office. It's been downtown for 80 years. They got a new office that got rebuilt in 2015. They're located at 425 Walnut Street, Suite 201, and that's in Fountain Square. So you can go get you some ice cream, go get you some cool stuff over there in that nice area, and check them out right there if you are in town. Confidence starts here. Go where the pros go. Go next level. Your smile is your brand. Make sure you let the people at Pierce Dental Group know that you heard about us from Cincinnati. And I promise you, like, there's not a better dentist. It's not a better consultation. Just take the consultation. You want to improve your smile, hit them up. And I promise you won't regret it.
That's very true. So without further ado, we're going to get into our schedule breakdown of the season, and we're going to bring in our friend of the show, my man, Sports Guru, who represents the Steelers. What's up, Sports Guru?
Man, what's going on, Ace? What's up, Zim? Happy for the platform, man. What's going on with it?
Hey, we appreciate you checking some time out of your day to jump on here with us. The first thing that I want to talk to you about, because I know that you're extremely insightful about the Steelers, what would you say your biggest strengths as a team are?
It's definitely the defense. Our identity is the defense. Our identity is the defensive coaching. And quite frankly, it doesn't get any better than what we got cooking up. I think it starts with Brian Flores. You guys have already enlightened me about Terrell Austin. We're not even going to talk about him for time purposes, but Brian Flores' impact is bigger than football. But how about Mike Tomlin finally actually hiring a minority candidate? And also, how about Brian Flores? Per Miles Jack, he says it's like the Steelers are, Brian Flores coaching Miles Jack is like stealing. That's what he said verbatim. His scheme, his mind, his ability to get guys who you probably never heard of, like Isaiah Loudermilk or maybe even Levi Wallace with Buffalo, now in the fold and real good coaching. And that's what you need.
No, that's
Did you ever think we would be here, bro?
I did. I just didn't know when, but how about the timing? And you itching. I'm itching.
Ain't this crazy that I would, as you're talking, I'm just like, we're on Twitter Spaces. We're having, so he's done a series called NFL Wars. We're battling for like months now, and here we are, like we're really talking ball, and we got the casuals out the way, and I just had to say that because I just think it's so many daggone taglines. We got shirts and everything that have been made on this platform. You talked about some really good stuff with the Steelers. Let me talk to you about. I know I talked to the unfortunate, incident. I mean, the events that happened around Stephon Tuitt. I know that was a big blow. Are there other areas on the team that you feel like you think you guys need to address, or what are some moves that we probably should be looking for that you guys need to do?
Well, absolutely. It starts with Tuitt. A guy had 11.5 sacks. Condolences to him and his family. But how about the contributions to the Steelers, right? The consummate professional, the ability to allow guys like Cam Hayward and T.J. Watt to not, get double teamed. He was a behemoth. I got tape, like you say, check the jumbotron of him throwing every guard and center in the AFC North. But retaining to him, our organization does a good job of being steadfast, but also to sticking to their culture, right? DeMarvin Leal in the 3rd round, high pedigree guy. You get Isaiah Loudermilk in the 5th round last year. So now you have the ability to get guys in the fold. They're not going to be a Stephon Tuitt, but when you guys like Chris Wormley have 7 sacks and guys like Montravius Adams, so you get because of the COVID rule off the street in the fold, you got a deep team. For weakness, I think it has to start with the offensive line. It's not as bad as people think, but numbers don't lie. Chuck Okukafor and Dan Moore Jr. At the left and right tackle were quite frankly weaker than some of our needs when we lost our virginity, right? So that stuff right there can happen. We got to do a better job of holding our blocks, holding our water. We had a lot of pre-snap penalties. We did address the offensive line in terms of coaching. We got a new offensive line coach, Pat Meyer, who has done great work with the Chargers and most recently with the Carolina Panthers. And then how about Matt Canada's scheme? Matt Canada's scheme was daunting because of the quarterback, Benjamin Todd. He didn't have it anymore. He didn't have it anymore. And his inability to improvise, his inability to step up in the pocket, his inability to run an RPO scheme hurt everybody. So now with a mobile quarterback who I can't tell you who it is yet.
Right. Hey, look. He just this is what he does, people. He came in and he dropped all that stuff on us, right? But at the same time, he stayed away from that quarterback position. You know why you don't want talk to me?
Your dad,
why you don't want to talk to us about quarterback, bro?
Hey, Ace and Zim, your mom and dad said stay away from fights that you can't win. I can't win. Everybody in the AFC North is a Heisman candidate or won the Heisman. As Mike Tomlin says, we got to bring our lunch pail. But in terms of the quarterback position, how about it being an unbelievable opportunity to finally move forward? I think a lot of people think Benjamin Todd should have been gone, maybe 2018. By the way, we haven't had a guy at quarterback since 2018 have over 7.3 air yards. So that just shows you how of a noodle arm he had, right? Now with guys on the vertical like George Pickens, Calvin Austin, who you talked about earlier. I don't need to talk about Deontay Johnson, Claypool, and Freiermuth. And then with the ability to flex out Najee Harris, put him in the slot or outside, I think those air yards probably go up to about at least over 7. And that's with either Trubisky or Pickett.
Talk to me about those receivers, though, bro. Like George Pickens, like what have you guys, Calvin Austin? Obviously, they're in shorts right now, but like, what are they looking like in camp?
Yeah, well, I tell you what.
Don't try to spin it and make it seem like they going crazy out there in their Hall of Fame candidates. Tell me the real. Who's dropping out there?
I'm gonna have some decorum. But when I look at the Bengals last year, when I look at the slaughter and 24-10, I believe, and then almost 40-10. That shows you, right, why you got to have unbelievable eligibles. Chase, Boyd, and Higgins. I'm not saying we don't have a Chase, but Johnson, Claypool, Pickens, Austin, it provides versatility. It provides the ability. You can't put 8 or 9 guys in the box versus Najee Harris. You're going to have guys win one-on-one matchups. Like you say, check the Jumbotron. Deontay Johnson, top 5 in the NFL in terms of press yards after getting pressed. Then when I look at George Pickens, when I look at Calvin Austin III, George Pickens is a freak of nature, a bigger guy that has small guy tendencies, the ability to start and stop quickly, the ability to provide yak, the ability to be a bully, you know, the 50-50 balls that you got to have, a.k.a. T. Higgins, right? Then when I look at Calvin Austin in the slot, you guys, when the last time the Steelers had a good slot? Hines Ward? Shit, I'm 25.
Juju, I guess. Yeah.
Nah. Juju and that beat.
Juju, bro, Juju in y'all top 10.
One hit wonder. Never had 100 yards besides that one unprecedented year. Juju and the beat and Jackson Mahomes and Kansas City. I want to talk Calvin Austin. I want to talk to you about a guy who was a walk-on, came to Memphis as a track star. You can't teach speed. You know that. You got a guy that wears number 1 that's pretty fast, right? But the thing about Calvin Austin is he has the ability to have that quick twitch, start and stop, but ability, you can't press him. The reason why you can't press him is because he knows how to beat press. That's actually his calling card. You look at the Senior Bowl tape, you look what he did to Sauce Gardner, Memphis versus Cincinnati. Check the tape is what you say. But when I look at Calvin Austin and George Pickens, Boogie and Zim, they're great complements to a Matt Canada offense. They make everybody on the field, Najee Harris and Freiermuth, better because they allow you to not be able to put those guys in the box and double.
Now, I want to ask you about,
why you only got 2 gloves on? Why you ain't got 2 gloves on?
Man, listen, first of all, my hand's not big enough. I think I'm only like a 6.5.
Go ahead, Ace.
I was going to say, you talk about Najee Harris, and one of the things that I did, we just had our running back room show on AFC North Talk, and I went back and I looked at some of the numbers that Najee put up when you look at the next gen stats, and some of them were like crazy because I was obviously matching him up against Chubb, Mixon, and then I was looking at the offensive line because I know that you guys have had not the greatest line last year. It was 31st, I believe, in run block win rate or something like that last year, and he still was able to put up the 1,200, also contributed in the receiving game. But now you guys have improved that offensive line, and now you have a rookie quarterback, and you guys were passing, I think, like 60% of the time. Is it possible, in your opinion, that Najee could have an even bigger season than he had last year?
Hey, it can't get any worse. And the reason why I say that is it's coaching, but it's also to understanding your strengths and weaknesses. How about Matt Canada's first year being offensive coordinator, but him being absolutely distracted because Big Ben couldn't run his offense. So that means when I want to audible, when I want to run wide, I can't because the quarterback's not old enough or athletic and young enough to get out and extend the ball. That's what a zone scheme allows you to do. The quarterback, when he takes his snap, he's outside, right? The guard and the tackle instead of just an actual gap or trap or whatever. So when I look at that, I think it's only going to get up. He led the NFL in yards after contact. I know the yards per carry were diminished, but how about Mason Cole? Mason Cole is a 6'5" center, and I don't know if you saw those holes that Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison ran through. That's what we're getting. I'm not sure if you saw David Montgomery with Chicago. That's what we're getting. And most of all, we're going to have continuity, right? The thing about Najee Harris is the media didn't do a good job. Shout out to you guys for minting off the casuals. Najee Harris weighed 242 last year. He's 244 now, and the media's making a big deal about it. And shout out to Najee Harris for addressing that today.
244.
Steelers Depot. Najee Harris, I think, if anything else, he's wiser, he's more flexible, and most of all, he's ready to improvise with the workload we're going to ask him to. And by the way, another weakness has to be the running back room. I mean, you got Benny Smith,
Right.
you got Anthony McFarland.
That's not your boy. I thought you wasn't. Hey, look, believe it or not, they wanted us to draft Snell too. We got to go to the next segment, man. Let me tell y'all, if you enjoy hating the Steelers as much as I do, it's been it's not been as fun hating the Steelers this offseason for some weird reason. But if you are looking for a reason to hate the Steelers, go find this guy right here. What is your Twitter, Rod?
My Twitter is the Sports Guru, the Sports_Guru. Shout out to Ace Boogie. Shout out to Zim for menning off the casuals, but most of all, actually having a platform. I see the super producer in the back. This has been phenomenal. And I just want you to know something. I will be at Paul Brown Stadium right next to you guys. And somebody's buying me some concert.
Where you at?
The 50, baby. Shout out to you.
For sure. Well, Sports Guru, we want to thank you for coming on and appreciate you for stopping by, bro.
And no doubt, man. Peace and blessings.
All right,
sir.
bro. Appreciate you.
All right, we're going to be back to you with some more topics, but we're going to leave you guys with a word from our other sponsor of the show, Midwest Best Barbecue.
Come and get them Uno wings. Uno wings. Who they gonna beat them Uno wings? Uno wings. MB's got you with them Uno wings. Uno wings. They tell me that the Uno wings will make you do the grenade. The Uno wings will make you do the grenade.
Shout out to Midwest Best Barbecue. They're located at 669 Justice Court in Loveland, Ohio. Go ahead and slide through there. Get you some ice cream. It's summertime. It's hot outside. So check out the creamery. We always talk about the barbecue. Don't sleep on the creamery as well. The ice cream is definitely hitting there as well. Shout out to Tim and them. But Zim, we got to talk about this list of coaches that we saw here from PFF. They queued up here for us the top 10 coaches in the NFL. I don't know, man. What are you thinking about this list? It's looking kind of shaky. It's got some holes in it. When I see Mike McCarthy at 10, I just don't know what to think about that.
I don't even know. I don't know what he's doing on it. I don't know what Pete Carroll's doing on the list. Mike McCarthy's on the list. Frank Reich has done nothing with the Colts, but I mean, I guess they had a successful season, but he fumbled a bag when it mattered the most. Matt LaFleur, we don't know enough. Kyle Shanahan needs to be higher. The list is terrible. Cliff Kingsbury shouldn't be on it. Pete Carroll shouldn't be on the list. Andy Reid, sure he could be on there. Yeah, I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm not an Andy Reid fan. But and then Harbaugh, I just feel like he should be on there for the fact that he's got 2 rings, but he's got to be way further down. Like the stuff that I hear from Ravens fans on an everyday basis on how much like they dislike this guy, it reminds me a lot like Marvin Lewis. It's like a guy that's
a lot of Marvin in him.
He's done a lot of good stuff, but his message is now gone still. Bill Belichick at number 1, I have no problem with that. But I think the list is missing Mike Tomlin, is missing McVay. Those are the 2. I like Mike Vrabel. I probably would move him up. What you think?
Mike Tomlin should definitely be on this list. Even though we hate the Steelers, we are not casuals, as our friend of the show, Sports Guru, just said. Mike Tomlin, for them not to have a losing season for so long. I mean, I saw these guys have a decent record. This man make magic with Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph. So I think he's got to be on the list. Cliff Kingsbury How is he top 5 after that slide that they had at the end of last season?
How is Zach not on the list and Cliff Kingsbury is on the list?
Yeah. I think you could even throw the Browns coach in there, right? He was just coach of the year last year. Like, I could definitely see him in there over a Mike McCarthy. Like, Mike Vrabel, sure. Kyle Shanahan, great offensive mind, but I don't know how he's going to utilize Trey Lance. The early words have all been that Trey Lance isn't ready. So if you're the top offensive head coach guru, he should be ready, right? Like this is year 2. So yeah, with that one, I'm not sure. I'm not sure even Aaron Rodgers agrees with Matt LaFleur being number 6 here. Let's go back and not forget how they lost that playoff game a season ago. And then they did all of that last year. And then it was an early exit for them. So yeah, I mean, at the top, I don't have many complaints at 1, 2, and 3. 4, they kind of lose me. 5, if you're listening
to this on the podcast, 4. If you're listening to this on the podcast, Cliff Kingsbury is number 4, Pete Carroll's number 5 when he just was referencing that.
Then you got Matt LaFleur at 6, Kyle Shanahan at 7, Mike Vrabel at 8, Frank Wright at 9, Mike McCarthy at 10. I mean, Frank, you lost to the Jaguars last year, bro. Like, we can't just put that on Carson Wentz. Right. So yeah, for me, definitely got to put some changes.
They need. I mean, if you're going to put Cliff on there, that's the one that really stands out to me. Then you got to put Zach on there. And I understand Zach had the 2 and 14, right? That was Zach. Yeah, I understand he had that, and he had a bad season when Joe went down. But in all those
had a
games,
bad season too. They forgot about it.
But Joe was super competitive in those games before whatever, and then the Bengals went in the tank mode. Then you go after that. I feel like, okay, he just went to a Super Bowl. Like, you got to get him.
McVay and no Sean McVay.
Yeah, I said that though. I said McVay got to be on it. McVay top 5. Right, McVay is top 5. Whether you like him or not or whatever, like McVay is top 5. But Zach, I think cracks the top 10 on the strength of Cliff Kingsbury, Frank Wright. There's like 3 other guys on there. Pete Carroll, like I don't know. I think Zach just he cracks the top 10. Mike McCarthy, like over Zach. Come on, bro. Like we went to a bowl.
Yeah, that's kind of wild. Neither Super Bowl coach in the rankings. Seems like a little bit of trolling there. That's definitely trolling for interaction, in my opinion. But next week, or not next week, this Thursday, we're actually going to have the Cowboys get previewed. So stay tuned for that. We're going to start previewing that game. And then just remember, this is the Wincinnati podcast. So if you haven't told people about it, share this with Bengals fans on social media, share the episode links and all of that. We appreciate that. You can get it anywhere you listen to your podcast under the name Wincinnati Podcast. Also, if you're watching from home and you like this and you're happy that you saw Sports Guru's face, please be sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit that like button. We appreciate that. Turn the alerts on. That helps us. And leave us your comments because we love reading the comments and interacting with you guys under the screen. And then also don't forget on the channel and on this podcast, you not only get the Wincinnati podcast, you're going to get the Bengals post, you're going to get the 513, and you're going to get the new Wincy, all of that content. And we're going to be coming to you guys all throughout this week. So keep it locked here to the Wincinnati podcast, and we appreciate you guys for listening.
Yes. Hello, world. We got a special show as always. TJ Houshmandzadeh, Jimmy Chase, Coach Jimmy Burrow.
How do you balance being a professional athlete and family obligation? These are top 5 Bengals of all time.
All time? Yeah. Shock the world.